our topic today is about ascension. A lot of people in various spaces are talking about the great ascension, the ascension into the fifth dimension. And so it's a very hot topic, and there is a lot of confusion around it. Jennai comes through. We are pleased and honored to be able to co-create with you in this conversation today. The topic you have chosen is one that has raised increasing amounts of fear and hope amongst your collective. And so it is a topic that is worthy of your attention. And so we are pleased to be able to offer our insights into this magnificent aspect of creation. Let us begin by reminding you that you are always in a process of ascension. You are never not ascending. And by ascension, we mean that the extent of your consciousness, the extent of your awareness is in an ongoing expansion. This really is all that ascension refers to, the expansion of your consciousness as you practice being a master creator in this universe. Ascension, the expansion of your consciousness, need not be a turbulent or uncomfortable journey. There is much joy and adventure to be had in intentionally expanding your consciousness, in intentionally expanding your awareness of yourself as you create the reality you enact and inhabit. What is particularly special at this moment in time-space is that you as a collective are in a journey to ascend to a new realm of reality, a new set of organizing principles of reality. In other words, you are ascending from one form of reality into another. Your consciousness is expanding so that you are able to perceive a more subtle reality, a more refined and conscious reality. You are commonly referring to this as the shift from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. And we are so amused that you seem to have forgotten how to count, because between 3 and 5, there is 4. First, you must ascend through the 4th dimension before you achieve the 5th dimension. But this is not a big matter. It will happen naturally whether you decide to acknowledge the 4th dimension or not. So this moment in time-space is dramatic, it is eventful, it is intense, because you are being pushed to release one version of reality so that you may enact and embrace another. You are moving from what no longer serves you towards that which you would experience more fully. We will unpack the shift as your questions unfold. But this moment, we would like to say, is an exciting one, even as it is a rather uncomfortable one, because you are used to enacting a particular form of reality. You have practiced this, and many of you have spent a lifetime working out how to succeed in a third dimensional version of reality. And so the shift into 4th and 5th dimensions, into an ascended reality, is uncomfortable to begin with, because it requires you to release that which has given you security and recreate that which you intend, which you wish would give you security. It is exciting and it is adventurous and it is uncomfortable. But discomfort often generates the seeds of new desires, and all desires are the seeds of creation. And so we wish you many desires, many new desires on this journey forward. Before we open to your questions, we would simply like to frame for you the entirety of the journey across creation. You are now focused in the third dimension, that which you describe as the third dimension. We would not hold too tightly to these labels. As your understanding expands, the labels you choose will shift so that they more accurately and precisely reflect the changes in your perception. But you are now in the third dimension, as per your reference, and you are shifting into the fourth, and some of you into the fifth dimensions. The rules of these dimensions, the organizing principles, vary and are distinct from the third dimension. There are many, countless dimensions. Dimensions are simply a way for source, for that which has generated creation, to organize different frequencies of reality. This is what the term dimension refers to, a range of frequencies through which life is expressed. So dimensional journey is unending, it is infinite, and it is arranged in octaves, in other words, in sets of 8. It is a circular journey rather than a hierarchical one. A spiral journey is perhaps more precise. In other words, each octave of creation ascends the previous octave. There are many octaves of creation, some of which are as yet imperceivable to you, and others of which you are already familiar. There is much to share, and we do not wish to overwhelm you. So let us say that dimensional travel, dimensional journey, is the aspect of creation within which all life exists. It is the only part of creation that is expanding and moving. You yourself have many aspects of being. Your current embodiment is simply one part of who you are. It is an experiment in consciousness. There is a greater aspect of you, which you commonly refer to as the higher self or the Atma. And this aspect is focused outside of time and space. In other words, it is not engaged in dimensional expansion. That which you refer to as source, creator, God, however you wish to designate that which has generated creation, that aspect too is focused outside of time and space. The dimensions were created to enable experimentation with creation. The dimensions enable what you describe as life, that which moves, that which is animate, that which seeks expression, is found within dimensional journey. We will pause here for questions and revisit any areas that you are curious about.
The first question is the soul equivalent to our vibration? It's a short and sweet question.
Okay. The soul, that which you refer to as the soul, the higher self, the Atma, that self generates vibration. Vibration is the movement of the soul through creation. It has a core note, a core flavor, if you will. It is an aspect, an articulation, an expression of source energy in particular focused manifestation. That aspect generates vibrations. In other words, it enacts multiple vibrations as it expands and experiments with creation.
The next question, how to pray to ascend?
This is a lovely question. It is a key question when shifting from one version of reality into another. Within the third dimension, that aspect of reality that you are most familiar with, to pray was to supplicate yourself, to ask for some external force to relieve you of your sufferings and to grant you your desires. Within a fourth, fifth, and onwards version of reality, you no longer supplicate yourself. Instead, the journey becomes about enacting your sovereignty, recognizing that you are a sovereign being. When you pray from a sovereign perspective, then instead of asking to be relieved of your troubles or to be granted your desires, instead you ask for support as you create your own reality. That creation both steers you away from that which you do not desire and directs you towards that which you do desire. So let us illustrate with an example. In the third dimension, you might ask God or your guides, your angels, you might ask, please save my child, or please get me a job. I need a job. I need to be able to support my family. In the fourth and fifth dimensions, instead of asking in that way, you would ask, please help me to perceive the path that aligns me with greater prosperity. Or please support me in perceiving how I might strengthen the well-being of my child. In both, you are asking for support. What shifts is that in fourth and fifth dimensional realities, you begin to take the driver's seat. You begin to steer your journey and you ask for navigational assistance. Whereas in the third dimension, you very often try to get into the passenger seat and get the driver to take you where you wish to go. Both serve a purpose in terms of the expansion of your consciousness, but they are markedly different in their vibrational frequencies. We would take this chance to remind you that you are always accompanied. You are never alone. We always respond to you when you seek our guidance and our support. What sometimes occurs, though, is that you do not perceive our response because you are asking for something in a form that we are unable to offer it to you in. From our perspective, we may not do anything that undermines your free will and your sovereignty. However, we assure you that we are always in support of you. We are always willing to support you. We simply offer the support to the extent that we are able to do so without undermining your own sovereign journey. When you learn to ask differently, When you learn to ask for navigational support, then it becomes easier to perceive our responses.
Okay, the next question by the same person. How many dimensions are there? And is this march one directional, meaning no back and forth?
A powerful question. There are infinite numbers of dimensions. As creation expands, new forms of articulation emerge. So the potential to travel across dimensions is infinite. Not all beings choose to do so. Many choose to generate new realities. In other words, they expand to such an extent that eventually they generate a new universe, one which operates at a different aspect of creation, a different range of creation. However, the potential to travel through dimensions is infinite. What is most visible to us in this octave, for we are focused in the same octave that you are, what is most visible are the 8 dimensions that we are focused within in this octave, because we share the strongest system of frequency with each other. But we are also able to view the octave below us and the octave above us, because we are intertwined with these realities in ways that are perceivable to us. So there are an infinite number of dimensions, and there is an infinite potential to travel through dimensions. You ask whether it is a one-directional journey, and the response is no. The journey moves backwards and forwards. For example, those of you in your collective, your human collective, have undergone the journey between 3rd, 4th, and 5th dimension many times before. You have, however, been unable to sustain a 5th dimensional reality. And so you have needed to backtrack, to refocus in the 3rd dimension so that you might realign dissonant vibrations that hindered you from expanding beyond a 5th dimension. One of the exciting aspects of this particular time space is that your collective has never been so poised to maintain and sustain a 5th dimensional reality. In other words, you have realigned much of what hindered the maintenance of a 5th dimensional reality. And so at this point, it appears that you may well be able to sustain 5th and up to 6th dimensional realities on this particular planet. The journey goes backwards and forwards as is required. This occurs both individually and collectively. You, as your higher self, your Atmic self, focuses into multiple bodies, multiple embodiments simultaneously. And this is simply because time is not linear as you have perceived it to be in the 3rd dimension, nor is space as static as you have perceived it to be in the 3rd dimension. And so as you ascend, you perceive your other lives more fully simultaneously, but your higher self is always able to perceive each of your embodiments. And your higher self generates as many embodiments across as many dimensions as is required for a particular form of expansion. We would say too that you are never focused only in one dimension. You are anchored in one dimension, In other words, the reality you perceive is primarily of one dimension, but you are always multidimensional in your being. You momentarily, or sometimes for longer periods, are able to access other dimensions and enact other realities. If you reflect on your journey, you will be able to remember moments of intense connection, moments of deep spiritual guidance, moments when you are able to commune with those who are not focused in third dimensional reality, moments of what might be described as divine inspiration. These are all indicators that you have shifted into another reality momentarily for that period of time. What is occurring now is that as a collective, you are beginning to anchor into the fourth dimension. In other words, it is becoming your primary aspect of reality, your primary experience of reality.
How does one connect with their star? I presume that's about star seeds.
Yes, it is. So I'll answer that very briefly. Don't worry if you're not familiar with star seeds or anything like that. We can circle back to that at the end if you'd like. So very briefly, there are a group of souls who choose to incarnate on a planet at such a juncture as the Earth is at currently. In other words, at a time when there is a dramatic shift from one version of reality into another. They are called by many names, and there are many who claim to be starseeds who are, in fact, simply longing to escape their own reality. But there are a group who come to serve at this time. This group retains memories of previous lives. They come into awakening and they fulfill particular roles on the planet, which are primarily energetic. They come to serve not the human collective, but rather the planet herself. So how, as a starseed, do you connect with your star? Quite simply, you connect through your intention. When you reach towards your star, when you intend to connect with your star, and then poise yourself to receive a response, you will inevitably be able to receive and perceive the response from your star. There is an activity described as generating a pillar of light, which anchors you on the earth and supports you as you reach towards more refined energetic vibrations. And the pillar of light is a useful way to practice reaching towards your star. It is useful to be prepared for the energy differential between the earth and the star that you are connecting with. We will set aside other questions related to star seeds for now. We will happily open this topic at another time or once the focused session has ended.
Lena would like to know how to best get in touch with our higher self and manifest our higher self in the world now.
This is a most delightful question. You will need to be patient as we bring precision to the way that you think about your higher self before responding directly. There is a tendency in third dimensional reality to place everything within a hierarchy. There are some things that are less and other things that are more. Some things that are less good, other things that are more good. this is a rather problematic way to engage with reality. It works well in the third dimension, but begins to become incoherent as you expand into more subtle realms of reality. In fact, there is no hierarchy. Rather, there is focused purpose. So the third dimension is not less important, less useful, less enlightened than the fifth or the sixth or the seventh dimension. Rather, it has a particular purpose, which is only possible through the organizing principles of the third dimension. No other dimension affords you the ability of a form of amnesia, a form of forgetfulness, where you may experience being disconnected, at least theoretically, from all other aspects of creation. This is a powerful experience. The fourth dimension enables you to experience reality in a more integrated manner, where you begin to retrieve the memories of your so-called past lives, although they are in fact simultaneous lives, within the third dimension, to bring that knowledge into new integrated aspects of itself. The fifth dimension allows you to re-establish a collective psyche, a collective aspect of being, etc., etc., etc. Each dimension serves a powerful purpose. None are denigrated, none are considered lower or less than any others, especially within this octave. What they are focused. They are precise expressions of embodiment within particular experiments of reality. So you ask about enacting your higher self in this embodiment. First, we would like to remind you that the higher self is complete as it is. It is focused outside of time and space, and it does not require any fullness of expression within its dimensional articulations, within its dimensional embodiments, because you are not distinct from your higher self. You are simply focused. You are focusing an expression of your higher self within your embodiment. So you do not need to become your higher self in your embodiment, but you may indeed wish to communicate more fully with that aspect of yourself which knows itself fully. And this is a beautiful journey. This is a beautiful task that you may undergo. And as you ascend, this task becomes easier. In fact, it becomes much easier, more profoundly easy within the fourth and the fifth dimensions of reality. How may you practice this in your current aspect, in your current embodiment? The first thing to do is to acknowledge and to practice remembering that you are not less than your higher self. You are not unworthy. You do not need to earn the right to connect with your higher self. You are naturally connected to your higher self. You are simply a focused embodiment of that self. When you acknowledge that you are indeed your higher self in specific focus, then you remove the need to prove yourself, to somehow elevate yourself so that you might have the privilege of connecting with the higher self. So in remembering that you are a focused embodiment of the higher self, you may then simply practice sitting silently, sitting in stillness, without distraction, and reaching towards that higher self. Do so without desperation and without fear. Set a clear intention. At this moment, I wish to communicate with my higher self. I wish it to be a clear and perceivable communication. And then seek something specific. Ask a particular question. Seek a particular focused connection, because while you are practicing this, having a focus clarifies the vibrational connection between you and your higher self. It is not your higher self that is struggling to perceive you. It is you who is struggling and needing to practice perceiving your higher self. We suggest that the most important thing is to simplify this and to clarify your intention. There are many rituals, there are many tools which you may wish to experiment with. Remember that it is not the ritual that is important. It is not the practice that is important. Rather, it is your intention. And so use the tools, use the rituals that feel good, and step away from them when you feel you no longer require them.
Are all beings capable of this, which is realizing their higher self, moving between dimensions and connecting to their parallel lives?
Indeed, every being engages in dimensional journey. This includes those beings who you might not recognize as conscious entities, the mineral kingdom, the elementals, the planets and the stars. In fact, the planets and the stars and the black holes are at a more ascended level of consciousness than you in your current embodiment are. The molecules and atoms, the plants, the animals, each is a conscious entity experimenting with a particular path of consciousness. Each undergoes a journey of ascension in their own time.
The next question is from Lizzie. In physical death, what dimension does the dying person travel to?
Our channel is nervous about this question because she has not engaged with us at a personal level about it, but we are glad to respond. First, we would remind you that there is no true death. There is the death of the physical vehicle. And really what this means is that your higher self stops focusing into a particular embodiment, into a particular expression of itself. But there is no death, because when you release your embodiment, you re-emerge into the totality of yourself, that is the higher self. There is some dimensional travel as you undergo this journey. There is a process of inhabiting the physical body and then releasing the physical body and inhabiting the more subtle bodies, because you are composed of multiple bodies, some of which are energetic and more subtle, and others of which are physically articulated. And so when you release your physical body, you undergo a period of withdrawing from one body into the next. So you shift your consciousness into ever more subtle aspects of being until you achieve the most subtle aspect of your body. And from this aspect, you re-emerge into the higher self. As you are withdrawing, as you are shifting from the physical self into the more subtle selves, there is a realm of experience that is neither physical nor completely etheric. In other words, it is not the higher self nor the physical self, but something that is in between. And during this part of the journey, you are engaged in reclaiming consciously all of the vibrational patterns you enacted during your life. A simple but not fully precise way of describing this is that you undergo a process of reviewing all of the experiences of your embodiment. It is not quite a review. There is no judgment. There is no reward or punishment or anything of this nature. There is a vibrational accounting, a taking stock of what has been expanded and achieved within a particular lifetime, and reviewing that which you wish to revisit from a different perspective, because you have not yet been able to ascend and expand it. So there is a review process, and it is supported. You are accompanied in this process. You are more fully conscious in this process. In other words, you perceive your guides, your ancestors, etc., whoever is attending you in this journey. It is still focused around the embodiment that you have just experienced. In other words, it is not yet fully re-emerged into your higher self. And this is only because there is value in reviewing the embodiment before it re-emerges, so that you are able to focus your review. It is nothing dire. There is no test that must be passed or any such thing. It is simply a supported process where you may take account of the embodiment that you have just experienced and identify those aspects you wish to rework, refocus into, so that you might expand them more fully.
In terms of the current Ascension vibes, and also to maximize our experience, what is important for us right now on Earth for the process of this ascension?
We have offered a number of processes which we have channeled into a course, and this brings those together. That is simply for your reference. There is no need to do the course if you do not wish to. We are simply indicating that we have brought together a system of these practices. There are some important aspects that you might practice quite easily. The first is to remind yourself that your third dimensional reality, the idea that there is an external reality independent of you, is imprecise and is in the process of changing. You reduce the trauma to yourself when you do not cling to that which has served you in the past but is no longer serving you now. If you reinvest yourself over and over again in the traumas and the dramas of the third dimension, then in effect, what you are doing is reaffirming that reality. If you feel that you are ready to release that reality, then remind yourself in an ongoing manner that while that reality is still quite vivid, you are already able to experience a new form of reality, a more subtle reality. So this is the first thing that we would recommend, that you gently remind yourself that just because your experience was constructed in a particular way, it does not mean that that way need continue. Now, we are not suggesting that you deny your reality or opt out or try to run away from it. This will not work either, but it helps to remind yourself that reality is ever expanding, that as your consciousness expands, the experience of your reality correspondingly expands too. Another thing that we would suggest is that you spend more time with yourself. Spend time clarifying for yourself what your desires are, what version of the world you wish to enact. If you are traumatized by the violence, by the dissonance of the world, then spend time clarifying what you would rather experience. What this does is it begins to generate a new vibrational accord, a new practiced frequency of reality that allows you to release what you do not want so that you may strongly connect with that which you do want. If you are only focused on all of the terrible things that you do not wish to experience, all of the suffering, all of the turbulence that is plentiful in your current time space, if you are only focused on that, then you will not even be able to perceive a shift in reality. Whereas if you acknowledge those experiences, if you recognize that I have experienced this and I no longer wish to experience it, that there are many who are experiencing that, and I wish to be in a world where they do not need to experience that. If you are focusing on what you do want, then you are practicing the vibration. You are generating a vibrational accord with a new reality. So this is the second most useful thing that you might do. The third thing is to begin to intake more refined energy. In other words, at this time, try to do conscious breathing. It does not matter which school you follow, which form of conscious breathing you follow. Simply sitting and breathing intentionally will re-energize you at a more subtle and refined level. Pay attention, attend to the sustenance you feed to yourself. In terms of food, choose those foods that feel good to your body. Each of you are a unique configuration, and so attend to what your body is asking for and feed your body those fuels that make you feel good. We would suggest that you would feel better with less processed foods at this time. Remember to offer gratitude to your food so that you increase its vibration. It does not matter which form of gratitude, it does not matter how you connect with your food, but connecting with your food is a powerful way to increase the subtle vibrancy of energy. Attend to what you are consuming in terms of media, in terms of conversations with others, etc., etc. Simply attend to what feels good to you. We are not prescribing one thing over another. We are not saying isolate yourself or party wildly. What we are suggesting is that you attend to whatever is suitable for you. What feels good for you, what energizes you, is what you should pursue at this time. Attending to these three practices will help you to clarify your vibrational accord with a higher, more subtle version of reality. I will also be posting a series of guided processes on the YouTube channel. It will happen slowly in the next few months, but there will be processes there as well. And the guides have said, whichever teachers are out there, if their processes feel good to you, then those are useful processes. So the way to do it is to trust what raises your energy, what raises your vibration, and participate in those things in whichever way that you wish. Yeah.
Marty would like to know, do high vibrations include lower vibrations, as in a symphony of a whole lot of instruments?
A useful question. As you ascend, what is perceivable as high and what is perceivable as low will shift, because you are accessing a new vibrational range. All dimensional travel exists through contrast. In other words, through differing vibrations which are contrasted with each other and which generate for you a range of possibilities of experience. So as you ascend, that which you considered a high vibration will in short order become the low vibration, because you are expanding, you are reaching to more subtle aspects of consciousness, more subtle vibrations of frequency, or more subtle frequencies of vibration. So as you expand, that which you considered to be high vibration will become low vibration, and you will be able to perceive ever higher vibrations. You will find that connecting to what you consider low and medium vibrations within a third dimension will become exceedingly uncomfortable. It will become more and more uncomfortable and more turbulent to be able to enact those lower and mid frequencies of the third dimension. You will find that as you shift into fourth and fifth dimensional realities, that to begin with, there will be increased turbulence as you try to maintain both the old and the new realities you are experiencing. The increased turbulence is because there is an increased variation in the two ranges of vibration that you are attempting to enact. Where you perceive increased turbulence, it is in fact your higher self calling you to attend to yourself more consciously. Bring your conscious and focused attention to the aspects that seem more dissonant, more turbulent, more uncomfortable, because they are indicating to you where you are attempting to hold on to a pattern that is no longer serving you. There is too great a vibrational range between that old reality and the new reality you are reaching towards and sometimes enacting. The turbulence is how that manifests, how that is made perceivable to you by your higher self. It is a form of guidance. There are many who are disheartened by this. They begin a spiritual journey and find that their troubles are doubled and quadrupled. In fact, it is not their troubles that are increasing. It is their communication from their higher self, which is seeking to alert them to the aspects of their reality that are no longer serving them, where they are holding on to patterns, relationships, ways of being that are now outdated in terms of the new desire and the new reality that is being enacted. I would like to just do a very short process. I'm going to do a very simple process. Okay, so I would like to just open up a sixth dimensional frequency to you, what some people in this group call a whoosh. Yeah. So I'm going to just bring in a higher quality energy and channel that for you through the the guides will channel it through me, the masters. What you may wish to do is just be very comfortable. So sit or lie down comfortably. Close your eyes while it's happening and intend to receive. So give yourself permission to receive that higher quality energy. You do not need to look for a particular type of communication. Be open. Just allow it to come to you in the way that's best suited. If you have something particular that you are needing guidance on, you can ask that and then listen for that inspiration. And if you just want to receive the energy and enjoy that higher frequency energy and let it do whatever is best for you, then that is great as well. You can just do that. Okay. You can relax completely. The guides at a 6th dimensional level never send energy that is not welcome. They never interfere with your own energy. They simply send support. They send a higher frequency that expresses through your own sovereignty. So you're welcome to relax. They can be trusted with that completely. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so settling into a comfortable position, closing your eyes gently. Begin to notice your breath. Very gently notice your breath as it moves into and out of your body. And connect your attention, connect your consciousness to your breath so that you are moving in and out of your physical body with your breath. And very gently deepening your breathing so that you are filling your body with your breath, giving as much attention to your inhale as to your exhale, taking in the universe and responding, sending yourself out into the universe. Breathing deeply and evenly, and allowing yourself to release any built-up tension in your body as you shift into a receptive mode. Give your higher self, your guides, Jennai, give them permission to send you higher frequency energy. Remind yourself that you are free to do with this energy anything you wish. You may direct it as you wish, or you may surrender and trust them to energize that aspect of yourself that would benefit the most from this energy. Trust yourself in this process, knowing that you will receive only that which serves you, only that which is good for you, and only that which you are willing to accept. Remembering to breathe. And opening yourself to the energy that will begin coming through now. And feel free to draw in as much of the energy as you would like. There is an abundance of energy being transmitted. Everything you need is available to you. So feel free to open up and to receive as much as you would like to receive. Remembering to breathe. Gently giving yourself permission to receive everything that you need. And releasing control, allowing the energy to serve you in the way that is best aligned with what you desire. Remembering to breathe. Surrendering the need to analyze for right now. You can analyze once it's over. Simply being in a receptive mode. Remembering to breathe. Feel free to open even wider, to draw in even more energy. You are welcome. Trust that even if you're not tingling or feeling hot or some sort of sensation, that you're absorbing the energy, you're receiving this higher frequency of energy in the way that's best aligned to you, in the ways that you are allowing, in the ways that serve you best. Remembering to breathe. Very gently now, coming back into your body, paying attention to your breathing. Gently in your own time, when you're ready, opening your eyes and coming back into presence. And if you're struggling to come back to your body, then just reach down into the earth. Allow the earth to ground you and help you to come back into your body. And use your breath to anchor yourself. Taking a nice, deep, refreshing breath. Coming fully into presence. Okay.
Lena would like to know, are there embodied beings on other planets? If there are they different from us? And is it intended for us to eventually communicate or connect with those beings?
Indeed, there are many, countless other forms of embodiment, both within this particular galaxy and within all others. There are some which are recognizable in form to your own. There are a number of humanoid species, although they are not the dominant form by any means. there are many types of species, many types of embodiment within this galaxy. You are already connecting with some of these. Some of these are already speaking to you in your moments of inspiration, in your moments of questioning, of searching. We are one such collective. We are a sixth dimensional collective, but there are many other collectives, both within the sixth as well as other dimensions. In the not too distant future, in fact, in short order, you will begin to be able to communicate with them at a more physical level. You will make contact, if you would describe it this way, although that is inaccurate. There is already much contact. Channeling, which is what this current form of communication is, channeling is a natural ability that is available to all beings. However, in the third dimension, you struggle to do so because of the particular way that reality is configured. As you emerge into more subtle realities, you will communicate with more and more ease with other beings and other entities, as well as with your higher self, angels, and many other forms and aspects. This is a natural process of ascension. It is a natural form of communication as you ascend. Most of us who are focused in other dimensions are vibrational communicators. We communicate telepathically, what you describe as telepathically. And this is because it is a more precise form of communication, which does away with the ability to deceive, to dissemble. It is a more direct, clearer form of communication. And so as you access these abilities within yourselves, you will begin to have conversations with other beings who communicate through this medium.
The last question by Kaya. What is the nature of ancestors, and aren't there higher selves living on other dimensions or in other dimensions?
All higher selves are focused in the first dimension, what you would describe as the first dimension. This is the dimension that is outside of time and space, and it is not in a process of active expansion. So all higher selves operate from this level. Your ancestors are embodiments of particular higher selves. It is not uncommon for one of your ancestors or more to be an embodiment of your own higher self. So, for example, our channel, Priya, is channeling one of her other embodiments who is focused in the sixth dimension, even as she is focused in the fourth dimension. This is not uncommon. It is very common for one higher self to play along a particular ancestral line in multiple lives, not all, but multiple lives, because it offers the opportunity to experiment with a particular configuration of creation that is re-articulated generation after generation within a particular lineage. But there are also other higher selves which focus into embodiments that may be counted as your ancestors. Ancestors are simply embodiments. They are experiments in conscious expansion and need not be taken overly seriously. They are simply configurations of creation. You are not you need not be overly attached to your ancestors. Their purpose is simply to provide a form of play within a particular dimension. You are not bound to your ancestors in this life or any other, but there is a particular resonance. There is a particular connection that you enjoy with your ancestors as well as your future generations, those who are yet to come from your ancestral line, your genetic line. Yeah.
I think that ends the line of questions.
Good. Thank you, everybody, for attending and staying with us.